Second game of the Sunday for Rugby World Cup 2019 is Ireland up against Scotland. This one is probably the biggest game of the weekend. You got the Italians against the Namibians beforehand, England against Tonga afterwards, but this one is a proper deciding battle between these two kind of, Six Nations rivals. Whoever loses this one is going to have a heck of a lot of pressure on them going into that game against Japan. So, it should be a real ding-dong battle. Very much looking forward to this one. It's going to make plenty of people's Sundays pretty interesting, including my own. I will have a look at the teams. I'll put them in the description so you guys can have a look at the squads. You feel like Ireland are probably suffering a wee bit with some guys having niggles, whereas Scotland, it seems like, have named pretty much a full-strength squad. So we'll see how much of a difference that makes in terms of the overall results. But recent history, it's been going Ireland's way. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games against Scotland. The average score has been 27-19, so not blowouts, but I guess in the Six Nations that tends to be. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, but those games tend to be relatively tight, fought games. Relatively close. But I looked at some of the stats, like Six Nations on the news. Their website had like some just key stats from historical data, and it's like they haven't played anywhere but Edinburgh or Dublin since like 1910, and that was in Belfast, I think, in 1910. So the fact that they're playing in Japan really makes it a bit of an unknown, because it's just such a shift away from what these teams are used to doing. Squads, yes, Larmour is in at fullback because Carty seems to have, again, I mentioned one of those niggles, so he's not available, so they're going with Larmour. Sexton and Murray at 10 and at 9, so that's the best 9-10 combo they can set up together. Those guys traditionally have punished a lot of teams in recent years, so they've both had their injury worries over the kind of last 12 months, but hopefully these guys are back fit and raring to go. Stockdale and Conway on the wings. Again, there's no Keith Earls. I think he only came back for that one game. Was he playing that last game? I remember he's been out for a wee bit, and then they said he was going to be back. I forget whether he was back in that last game. It's been too much rugby of late. Ringrose and Aki are in the midfield, so there's not much you can complain about there, I suppose, although there's still no Robbie Henshaw for the Irish squad as well, because he has also picked up something of a knock. So that is the backs. Healy, Best and Furlong, that is probably the best Irish front row. I mean, people would argue about Best selection with the line-out sometimes going a bit haywire, and that's made a little bit more difficult, and the fact that Devon Toner has not been taken to Japan to play in the Rugby World Cup, he, with that pure height, just adds that little bit extra security at line-out time. But he's going to be throwing to James Ryan and Ian Henderson. Peter O'Mahony is also there as well, and he is a very astute line-out operator. So hopefully the line-out becomes a strength, because in recent times it has been a slight weakness where teams have been able to target. Josh van der Flier is going to be there putting pressure on at the breakdown, and CJ Stander is there at number 8, so he will be looking to bust the ball up as he is known to do. The bench, Scannell, Kilcoyne, Porter, Tadhg, Beirne. Tadhg Beirne is the kind of guy that is very impactful, I guess, when he comes off the bench. That guy at the breakdown, and just with his work rate, is very, very busy. So he could make Scottish lives miserable when he comes off the bench. Jack Conan, Luke McGrath, Jack Carty and Chris Farrell round out the rest of the bench. So, Ireland have got Japan up next, so they've kind of got their 2 big games in a row. It's a pity that the guys I mentioned, Carney, Henshaw and Earls, are all not available for this one, but hopefully those guys aren't nothing serious, and then they come back fit for that Japan game. I think it's 6 days they've got rest, so pretty much enough to recover, but anyway, we'll see what happens in this game first. For Scotland, it's a very strong looking squad as well. Like I said, there doesn't seem to be, guys who seem to be unavailable for this one. So you got Laidlaw and Russell at 9 and 10. Seen them playing so many times together. Sam Johnson and Duncan Taylor is a very useful looking midfield. Remember, there's no Hugh Jones for Scotland at the World Cup this year. But when I did the preview for Scotland, a lot of guys saying, look, he was just out of form. So you can't pick him just on reputation alone, which is fair enough. I mean, the All Blacks are kind of doing the same thing with their wingers they've selected for the South African game. They've gone with the two inexperienced guys who are in form. So go with the form. Seymour and Maitland, along with Hogg in the back three. Now that is just attacking power and experience. So if you're a Scotland fan, you'd have to be pretty happy with the way those backs are lining up. Dell, McAnally and Niall are the front row for Scotland, and they will have, I don't know if it's going to be a tough time, but it's going to be a challenge for them for sure up against the likes of Healy and Furlong, but we'll see how well they can hold their ground. Gilchrist and Johnny Greig. I love Johnny Greig. That guy's just going to tackle the house down, so it'll be interesting to see between him and James Ryan who gets more tackles, because they're both just absolute workhorse players, but if one team ends up with more possession, then the other guy who's in the team without the ball is going to end up just with crazy tackle stats. Buckley, Watson and Ryan Wilson, again, that's a very useful looking back row. So how those back rows go up against each other will also be a very interesting matchup. Replacements, Fraser Brown, Gordy Reid, Simon Bergen, Cummings, Blade Thompson. Hopefully that guy's head does not take any knocks, because he's had enough of that, really. He's another guy that's going to come off the bench and really add some impact, and he's also very useful at the line-out too. Ali Price, Chris Harris, and Darcy Graham round out the subs. Seeing Darcy Graham running at some tired defenders could be interesting late on in the game. But yeah, it's interesting they haven't picked Hastings for this one. I guess they'll just have to shuffle things around. If Chris Harris, does he play 10? You guys Scottish fans will have to let me know. In terms of the predictions, Rugby Forecast, the algorithm has Ireland by 9 points. The bookies have got Ireland by 8, so pretty tight between those two systems in terms of their predictions. So pretty much Ireland by a try and a little bit for this one. I don't think either side will be targeting a bonus point. Obviously, a bonus point would be nice. But whoever gets the win just puts that 1 foot in the door for the quarterfinals. But yeah, that's the teams. You guys can check them out. Let me know what you guys think of this game. Scotland, as I said, pretty full strength looking, unless I'm missing someone, which I may well be. But yeah, how they're going to go against Ireland is going to be a big test. As I said, neutral ground for the first time in a long time. You guys let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.